Hey you guys, it's MJ from Alta Love. How are you? I'm still posting these live but unlisted so that I can stream consciousness just quite purely without distractions. But I love you guys and I will continue to do the live stream so that we can share and discuss and chat. It's October 3rd and I felt like just sharing a bit of intuitive energy reports for October 2018, this month ahead, and coming out of these sort of darker and abusive energy cycles, these karmic patterns, lifelong, and these sort of, I would almost say like I'm hearing like a deeper galactic completion cycle that is really uplifting our collective harmonic frequency and helping us find greater clarity within our own self-awareness, and that finally we're seeing this self-awareness extend out into our physical reality. So a lot of our higher vibrational desired manifestations are coming to the fore. They're coming into our experience. And I have mentioned this as well, but there's a lot of simultaneity. So as much as we're seeing new things make manifest in aspects of self that are incredibly freeing and empowering, we are still shedding and clearing and transforming the residue of our darker life experiences and our denser ones. So we're seeing certain familial patterns rise to the surface. We're seeing maybe subtleties in our lifelong themes and challenges. And then within that, we are expanding and transforming them quite quickly. The moment we recognize them and see the energy stream, and we don't revert back into the pattern, or we don't revert back into believing that the story is true, that in and of itself is actually clearing the energy. There's a lot of divine feminine energy flowing through the earth. And this is part and parcel of our seeing more women rising up and speaking their truth based on the experience that they've lived, and then a collective understanding of why it's important for us to honor the divine feminine as a cohesive and unifying force field within us. That's the divine energy within us that helps us to heal the imbalanced male-dominant perspective. And the male-dominant perspective grew or was born out of the separation wound and the control manipulation energy forces brought here by a disempowered free will choice that souls made and source point made, as some people say, an experiment, and yet I would say it's still part of a divine cosmic awakening path for a soul or any being incarnate in the universe here. And any of us who have memory recollection from different cosmic origins and different homes, and all that means is like a different dimension. It's all here now anyway, but those of us integrating the broader aspects of ourselves are really powerfully feeling the divine energy like rising up from within us. It's super powerful. Sometimes we can experience it quite profoundly as this this might sound paradoxical, but like a loving rage. There's like this deep, profound, loving connection, this fierce, loving connection, but yet the simultaneity of the healing is like this intense amount of like rage at injustice and rage at being taken advantage of, and just enoughness, you know, enough manipulation, enough emotional blackmail, and standing in the truth of our knowing and our deservingness as beings of light of what we are choosing to create, and that we're not going back into those manipulative tactics anymore. And the collective has risen its vibration enough to see through the games, basically, and to see through the manipulation. And part and parcel of that is knowing that we're not responsible for other beings, and nor is it our fault, right? So we're not here to point fingers and sit around and talk negative about people. Another thing that I get, it's important for us to remember to not hold people in their past. That came up for me recently, of like somebody talking about me as the person that I was 15 or 20 years ago. And that like, it doesn't trigger me because that's that person's choice, but knowing and upholding to the best of our ability people in the here now presence, right? That we are transformational beings, we're infinite cosmic beings, we're not these small limited people on this planet that just live once and then you're dead, right? That's the old 3D perspective, and certainly a fearful perspective because it goes against our eternal nature. And we here now are reclaiming our eternity. We're reclaiming our connection to the infinite, right? To our God source, our soul's infinity portal. And maybe this is totally aligned with what like Aluna talks about as like the 13th gate. We're stepping outside the field of even conventional potentiality, and reaching into something that intuitively we know is within us to create, but we've never created it in a physical body, shifting from the 3 and jumping up to what people say the 5D. Again, it's simply a higher vibrational vortex field, but within that we become more powerful manifestors. The lessons that we continue to repeat are karmic lessons, because I guess the way I understand it is that we as beings, inherently powerful and responsible, wouldn't give ourselves that power in the darkness, because we're here not to create or recreate the fall or recreate the darkness. Again, we're here to learn from that free will pattern of corrupted power, where we've remembered our power and used it to enslave, control, and dominate, whether it's a collective of other humans or the planet herself, or a mass collective of innocent creatures. By that I do mean our creatures that humans eat. And so we have this learning to endeavor as individuals. Those of us who resonate with myself and these messages we understand, and then we're like the next wave. So the second wave, those of us speaking, connecting now, are rising into shine light for the next wave, which is just another large grouping of humans that are remembering and just need a little bit of reflection, or people who can explain it to them so they don't think they're going crazy, and also that they feel they have some support and some community around them. That's been part of, you could almost say, the delay. Oh, hi guys, I'm having some emotion. Yeah, part of the perceived delay in this next level manifestation has been the solitude of a lot of the builders and the pioneers, the solitude, and now we're feeling lifted from that, and again encouraged in more profound ways. So we're always clearing. It's never done. Keep believing in what you're choosing to create. We're all in this together. You don't need to tolerate abuse anymore. You don't need to tolerate people lying. You can own and honor the fullness of your intuitive knowing, and you don't need to explain it to anybody or apologize for it. You can just move with it. It's time for us, if triggers are coming up for us, it is time for us to address them in the most harmonious way possible with those that we need to address it with. Again, even though it might not seem like it might seem totally disconnected, but these minor connections of us standing I guess you could say, like, against people, but it's not like us, it's not really like that. It's a unifying force. So us standing in our power, just saying, no, you're not gonna behave, or I'm not gonna do what you tell me, or I'm not gonna necessarily just bend over and give you what you want, that energy is what's creating the tidal wave of change, because suddenly a whole mass of enslavement patterns, these slaves are suddenly waking up saying, whoa, hold the phone, you can't treat me like that, that's not on. And then the beauty is that we have a collective awakening which supports that. More and more people who also are actually in positions of power, but who are awakening and aligning with the truth of their knowing that that behavior ain't gonna fly. So that in and of itself, as we stand and dig into our own truthful knowing and power, that energy of like digging in or anchoring is really what's uprooting these darker, the darker tentacles that have been kind of feeding off of the earth plane energy. And then as soon as more humanity, the earthlings who really belong here, as long as they're loved, supported, and protected, which they are, then they'll continue to remember, integrate. That's the ascension. You embody the fullness of who you are. And then you'll start to remember and have more joy in your life. And that's the simplicity of all of this stuff, is that, you know, we don't use spirituality to lord over people, to be superior, and its sovereignty is self-responsibility. You're only responsible for your own energy, and if other people are trying to interfere, that's part, for my journey, that's been part of the revolutionary lessons always, is like the interference coming from my own disempowerment invites beings who interfere, and that just looks like people lying to us and deceiving us and playing games with us, and keep always putting all of the responsibility on us because we're so honest and transparent with people. They use that to feed their own manipulation tactics, or simply to feed their egoic story of what they're wanting to create, but their creation is just covering up their fear, right? And that's something I know in my beingness I can't tolerate, simply energetically, because I'm not holding that fear anymore. I can't have it around me. It doesn't vibrate, right? It doesn't align. And so we're making sense of it from a detached perspective of energy, because energy is infinite, and so we don't need to hold on to people, places, and things the way we once did for fear of not having, because there's only truth and benevolence. And so we're riding the wave of truth and benevolence, but we're still like maybe shedding a few residues here and there, and we're still maybe having to look at a bit of our default setting, lifelong or not. But it's all in the service for the good of all. It's all been coming out of these transformational cycles for many of us, and then this clarity that we're feeling into, reaching into, and this harmony from within. This is like the juice of life. This is the other reason we ever endeavored to manifest in form, was to have this experience of greater wisdom integrated in body, and then like having these transformations which get better and better and better and better, so that we can shine more light into that collective to uproot a really dark and disempowered energy on this planet, which the way I feel into it, and always have done since my awakenings, is that that's not the inherent birthright, or that's not the like signature frequency of planet Earth. Planet Earth is like a divine light realm. It's actually like a super heaven, blissful, and then through different intergalactic and interuniversal, you could say, challenges, discussions, and creative force fields, the Earth has sort of been attracted, I guess you could say, through a fall, attractive lower vibrational frequencies, which have embedded themselves here because that suits their agenda. But it's not the inherent divine agenda of planet nor this solar system. So it doesn't matter, because you can't, when it comes to divine, there's no law above that. There is only really that light field as creation. And then if we denounce the light, we have to use, we kind of enfold from within ourselves and deny the light, and then we have to feed off the light from outside of us rather than being the divine and channeling the light from within, which is the truth of our creatorship power, not the other. Certainly not if you're resonating with what I'm talking about. There's beings who choose malevolence, you guys, and beings who choose the darkness, and that's okay, you know, from a place of infinite, eternal, divine love and light. There's all of it is contained within the totality of creation, but for the timeline on this planet, we're having to choose because it's not where Earth herself is going. Earth herself is moving into greater light, love, potential. So that vibrating on a lower frequency has to go to different creative timeline. And that's beautiful. It's beautiful that we have infinite creative portals, and it's beautiful that we can get to a point, at least now, of detachment, that we don't need to hold on to the old world anymore because it's not actually serving where we're desiring to go. So I'm looking forward to meeting you guys more on the love light vibration of the new paradigm and shedding the old in a really loving way, you know, and beautifully, not even, this is another just like side note, but you know it's working when you're just not getting triggered by stuff like gossip, people talking about you, or some whatever person did this, that, or the other, and there's like no triggerlessness. You're like, holy shit, I'm just not carrying those vibrations anymore. I'm just not feeding into that energy at all. So we're continuing to rise, which is incredibly awesome. And life is good. That's all I'm hearing. Life is good. We're good. We got this. Reach out. Keep them comments coming. I love you guys so much, and my heart is like la 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 la. My heart is just like shining here in my little apartment in North Devon, England. My heart is shining out from here, connecting to the portal here and the light activation codes. Like, for real, sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying, but I hope that was useful to you, and I love you mega big time. And even those of you choosing darkness and shittiness and uncomfortableness, or not, because sometimes you just have to sit with uncomfortableness, but those of you who are choosing to like not love and to just always deny how you feel and make it about other people's problems, then I love you too. And there's only love for the totality, even the darkest energies. We can enfold that with love and contain it with light and be protected from within ourselves and not tolerate that that other manipulative energy, which is quite subtle. And it's been a pretty tough lesson, I think, for a lot of us in these last year, or the last year and a bit, of surprising encounters and situations of people that really don't necessarily understand us in the deepest way possible, and that's okay. So just sending out lots of love and virtual hug vibration. Hugging the phone. Love you guys. Have an awesome day. I look forward to speaking to you soon, and just happy October. I'm gonna make at some point, I'm cracking on with the editing of the Zenful Zero Waste course because we've launched. We're now teaching people how to be more mindful of their environmental impact and consumption patterns. So if you guys, it's only 144 pounds. Do you see that? Do you see the sacred number geometry? Or whatever. But 144 was, 144 is what sat with Team Love. So if you want to support myself, Team Love, and the Alta Love movement, and if you just legitimately want some help going more zero waste, then buy our Zero Waste course, altalove.com, under online courses, 144 pounds, and there's 3 more courses to come. I love you guys loads. Have an awesome day. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste.